Hello, everyone. How we doing? Good morning. If you're in the house, go ahead and comment below. Let me know that you're here, ready to get started. Let us know where you're tuning in from. All right, so comment below where you're tuning in from. If this is your first live stream, right? Let us know. If you're first time watching my YouTube channel, newcomer, let me know in the comments. I want to welcome you, right? Today's session is all about looking at the velocity banking concept as a whole, right? To determine, is this thing a scam or is it simply misinterpreted, misunderstood, misrepresented, and potentially leading people in the wrong direction, right? So is velocity banking a scam? Now, for majority of the people watching this channel, those of you who are live right now, you already have your conclusion, right? You're already convicted that velocity banking is not a scam. You're already, at that position. Maybe you even have firsthand experience using the concept. Maybe you became debt-free using the concept. You just got tremendous results, right? Let's just say that's the case. What I want you to do is actually drop all that conviction, and I want you to pretend like you are against velocity banking. So I want you to argue against velocity banking. I want you to put in the comment section, like, what are all the bad things about velocity banking? How does it get misrepresented? How is it misunderstood, right? Why would this be a bad idea for certain people or everyone, right? So I want you to argue against velocity banking if you are pro velocity banking. This is going to help you really establish your position that much better, and you can actually evaluate people's objections. So when you're having conversations with coworkers, family, friends, you can handle the objections that much easier, and you can just point them right to the math, right? Because some of the major objections that you'll hear other content creators put videos out when they say velocity banking is a scam is, number one, first and foremost, is you can't use debt to pay off debt. All right, you can't do that. That doesn't make sense. You're borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. That leads to disaster, right? So there's that. Another common one is that the math that they're presenting, that's another huge part. So there could be this misrepresentation, right? Misinterpretation, misunderstood, if we're presenting math in a certain way. Like, for example, saying that, hey, if I have a 4% amortized loan and I throw it on a 14.5% home equity line of credit, this doesn't make sense. Now, at first glance, I would totally agree with it. Like in most cases, I'm actually agreeing with a lot of the things that the other content creators that call velocity banking a scam are like, oh yeah, I totally agree with you. That math is horrible. Like the way you presented that case study is a horrible way of doing velocity banking. I would not do that. That doesn't mean that the concept is bad. It just means the way you presented the math, the way you presented the numbers, I would not do that, right? But now if I can have that same 4% amortized loan and I can get a line of credit at the same rate, maybe lower, maybe a couple points higher, oh, well, now it's a different story. I just changed the whole math completely. What if I said that I can move that 4% amortized loan to a 0% location? I can just literally move it into a 0% cost location, zero cost location. Well, now the conversation has changed. So now I can move debt, use debt to pay off debt. I can move debt from one location to another location. Newsflash, that is called debt consolidation. I just consolidated higher interest into a lower interest rate environment. But I didn't stop there. I didn't just stop there. Matter of fact, I decided to use my entire income stream and deposit it into the debt that I just moved from this location to another location. And now I'm going to continue to pay 0% cost interest or very, very low cost interest. So now the whole conversation changes when we truly evaluate the math that is going on here. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to look at 2 YouTube channels, right? We're going to look at one video that says velocity banking is a scam, and then the content creator took this case study from another content creator that's a velocity banking practitioner, teacher, educator, and coach, right? And we're going to analyze what is being said on both sides. We're going to see where are the discrepancies. And this is what I love about having all the information in front of me, having all the details in front of me. I'm able to make an educated decision, right? Because I can see both sides. I can see what this person said, and I say, oh, well, this person said it like this. So that changes the whole dynamic based on how they presented it versus how this person presented it. Interesting, right? So before we get into it, I'll establish some baselines. There's 29 people in the house. If you enjoy this video as we dive into this, the case study and everything, if you're enjoying it, I want you to go ahead and hit the like button. Hit the like button. All right, my speech grammar's going crazy. So I want to welcome those of you who are in the house. We got Wes out of Charlotte, North Carolina. How you doing? From Balistan from Romania, awesome. Nelson, Texas, love it. Virginia, first live stream, welcome, first live stream. Frank Rodriguez, how you doing, my friend? Jewel, good morning, tuning in from Alabama. PA, first live, senior videos for years though. Awesome, glad you're here. Good morning, North Carolina. Nathan, good morning. Mira, hello. Marketers Corner, Atlanta, Georgia, awesome. Joseph, good day, awesome, great. So let's establish our baseline here. I'm going to go back and forth, sharing my screen, then going to the whiteboard, right? So just expect that. So let's do this, share screen real quick. This is how we do our market research. We see, okay, what is all the material out there talking against velocity banking? So I gave you 4 videos, 3 YouTube channels, right, that you can look up. William Lee is a new person that I've seen put out a video that velocity banking is a scam. Fluent in Finance, he believes velocity banking is a scam. And Matt, the mortgage guy, believes velocity banking is a scam, doesn't work, right? That the numbers are false, okay? Typically, they're pulling their numbers from the velocity banking educators, right? So if you want this Word doc, just email me directly, put in the subject line, velocity banking is a scam doc, something like that, and I will send you this material, right? I will send you the Word docs that you can have all the research that you can do for yourself, okay? Here are the educators. Here are the velocity banking educators, people that are making content that are like case study like videos, and they're breaking down all of the different elements of velocity banking, okay? You got Connor J. Wallace, the Velocity channel. You got Mike Adams, Think Wealthy with Mike Adams. You got Christy Van, right, with Fantastic Finances. And you got myself, Denzel Rodriguez, Personal Finance Geek, 21st Century. I consider these people to be the best educators, right, on velocity banking. That they're breaking down all of the components of velocity banking. And I also put these people here because majority of their content is on velocity banking, okay? So then Below here are channels that cover velocity banking, promote it, advocate for it, or use it as an add-on strategy. So the reason why I separated the list here is because if you watch any of these people, right, they have other primary content that they're putting out. And then like every now and then they'll make videos on velocity banking, do a little case study. They'll share some things. They'll talk about the strategy. They'll talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and in between. So it's not their primary purpose for having the YouTube channel, but it's one of the top things that they talk about, right? And they're for the concepts. You got Kwok Brothers, you got Matthew Pillmore, VIP Financial Education, you got Donnell, what's it called? Self-Directed, right? You got Sebastian Boyer, the approved guy, Amanda Pride, that's a client of mine, Minor Ramos, another client of mine. You got Miss Robin, client of mine, just became a client recently working with her. Okay. And then there are 3 other YouTube channels. I don't know their names, so I just put their YouTube channel links, right? So that's the market research that I've done for you already. That's who is in the space, right? There's a handful of people talking about velocity banking, right? Handful of us, not too much. Now, here's what I would say. Just a couple of things that I think where velocity banking can improve, not necessarily for the promoters and advocators, but putting more of the heat on myself, on Christy, Mike, Adams, Conajay, right? Putting the heat on myself, right? And then the other velocity banking teachers and educators is to just simply say that, hey, we don't need to oversell it or hype it up in general, right? And you know what? Yep, I'll throw these guys in here too. Some of them, I don't think we need to hype it up. I'm not saying anybody is. I'm just saying that's where it can improve. I'm saying I've done it before. I'm saying I've oversold or hyped it up, right? So I'm putting myself on the spot. That's a way that I've been improving over the years. I know when I first came out, I was like just super pumped up with so much energy, right? That maybe there was videos that I've put out or cases that I've done where I clearly made mistakes, right? Maybe I was overly excited, didn't run the numbers. So that's just me being very, 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 very transparent with you. And also sharing that, look, if we go to my YouTube channel, I want to share with you, this is just part of my growth, right? We go to playlists. I have a playlist on my YouTube channel called my worst, most popular videos watched. Let me see, where is it? Where the heck? Where is it? Oh, here we go. So if you check out this playlist, nearly every one of these videos, right? These are my most watched videos, but they're actually like, there's in some of these videos have mistakes in them, errors. Maybe I was overselling it. Maybe I didn't convey the message effectively. I, just totally maybe bombed it in my personal opinion, but according to YouTube and you guys love these videos because they're my most watched videos, but they're my worst ones because if you pay close attention, you're going to be able to spot some errors in some of these videos in this playlist, right? So again, that's just me improving over the years, right? We're not all perfect. We're going to make mistakes. When we're doing a case study, we might make an error on some of the math here or there. What I've done in all of my case studies, right, is I create buffer space. I create room for error. So for example, if I'm working with someone that makes $5,200 a month base salary, right, net take home, and then they typically get 5 to 10 hours of overtime, so their income could be as high as $5,700. Typically, we're going off the $5,200 number, right? And then if they tell me that they spend $3,200, right, I typically will add a little buffer on there. So now I'm lowering the cash flow, I'm overestimating expenses, I'm underestimating on income, creating this entire space, room for error buffer in case I do make a mistake in the actual application of doing the concept. They're actually going to do much better, right? So that is critical. I think that's super, super important to be aware of. So I just want to share those things with you. Coming back to sharing the screen here. Another thing I want to say is that it's okay if velocity banking doesn't work for every situation. We don't have to force velocity banking in general. No need to force velocity banking. What do I mean by that? So example is using cash advances to pay off debt, paying unnecessary charges on credit cards to pay off debt, paying high balance transfer fees, when all of this can be avoided or greatly reduced in cost with a little extra patience and a little extra preparation. Shout out to the people that were with me last night when I was doing Ask Me Anything Q&A, where, I talked to some of you in the comments, and you're like, Denzel, I can't find a bank where the home equity line of credit is no less than 9%. I've looked at 10 banks, Denzel. I looked at 5 banks, Denzel. And all of the banks I looked at so far are only giving 9% home equity line of credit. And my simple response to them is, there's thousands of banks in the United States. You only looked at 5 of them. You only looked at 10 of them. You haven't even scratched the surface yet. Keep doing more research. It's not that hard. It takes you 5 minutes. It takes you 15 minutes. Matter of fact, I did a video on how to qualify the line of credit. And the length of that video, I think, was about 40 minutes. About 40 minutes. That's me talking and explaining how to do the research. So in reality, if you actually did the research on your own, you probably do it in like 20 minutes. No matter what state you're in the United States, we can find a HELOC today in 2023 less than 9%. Okay? The prime rate is 8.25%. So the way I do velocity banking, mind you, there's other players in the space that also teach velocity banking in their own style, in their own way. My baseline of how I do velocity banking is I am looking for the cheapest way to do velocity banking. I'm looking for the most efficient way to do velocity banking. That's every single time. Every single time. I'm always looking for the most efficient, cheapest, fastest way to do velocity banking. And if that requires me to wait a couple of extra months to do velocity banking, I'm willing to wait those extra months to get my credit score up, to get my DTI down, to make sure I get all my questions answered from that specific bank, to make sure I have a relationship with the bank, to make sure that I don't settle for a 9-10% HELOC when there are clearly home equity line of credits in the space where you can get an intro rate at 3.99% for 12 months, or an intro rate of 7%, 6% for the first 6 months, 12 months, and then it goes to 7.75%. So that's about a half a point below prime, right? Instead of settling for 11%. Like you're adding extra work that we don't need to add. Same with cash advances. I know some people teach cash advance for velocity banking. I don't. I'm letting you know, like, you should avoid cash advances as much as humanly possible, because there's something called convenience checks. There's something called balance transfers. There's something called running bills through your expenses instead of trying to move one debt into a credit card and pay cash advance fees plus the balance transfer fee and get charged that daily interest until it's paid off and just get smacked over the head at 25% interest when we could have just got a PLOC at, say, 8, 7, 9%. Right? So every case study that I'm working with is individual prescriptions, and I'm always looking to reduce the cost as much as humanly possible, find the most efficient thing that works for them. So that's the baseline, right? I'll go back to sharing my screen, and now we're going to look at the two content creators that we're going to be analyzing, right? So close that, close that, close that. So we're going to be looking at Christy Van, all right? And let me make sure y'all can go to theater mode. So I'm looking at Christy Van, specific video. This is a client of mine, business partner. She's doing a phenomenal job. Look at this, over 66,000 subscribers. She's helping a ton of people out. So this particular video was reviewed by this content creator, William Lee, right? So he took the same exact numbers in the first, I think, 10 minutes or so of the video, and then he goes into like a mortgage example. So I'm not going to play the entire video here, right? But we're gonna analyze what he was reviewing, what he was talking about, and then we're gonna look at what Christy Van says, right? And we're gonna learn, and we're gonna make this happen, right? So first off, let's go. I'm gonna run this back. It's right about there. I'll run this back. You know what? I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to like play the video. I don't know if there'll be any issues here. So I won't play the sound. I'll do that. I'll turn on captions, right? And I'll see if that helps. Then I'm going to scroll into it. We're going to blow this up so that you can see this thoroughly. All right. So his claim is that velocity banking is a scam. He used Christy Van to prove that using her case study, right? Christy Van is doing a case study to give you the context. Christy Van is doing a case study with someone making $5,200 a month, and their cash flow is $0. So they have $0 in cash flow. So William Lee looked at that, and he established a baseline, which I actually agree with doing. I think that's good. So he established a baseline. He ran the numbers on 3 debts. We have a truck loan, right? I'll zoom in on here. We have a truck loan at $7,000, 12% amortized. Payment is $644, right? And he broke down the math in terms of what you pay in interest, how quickly will it be paid off. I don't know if his calculation is simple interest or amortized. So I didn't run the math on that yet. But I'm just gonna rely on his expertise, right? And his understanding that, a loan is amortized interest. So hopefully he recorded as 12% amortized. So he just ran it and he said, okay, look, if you just paid the monthly payment, because that's all this specific person can do. They have zero cash flow. They're literally paycheck to paycheck. So they break even each and every month. So that means they can't pay in any extra money towards any of the debts that we displayed here. And he said that this would be paid off in 12 months, right? So 12 months for the truck loan, 13 months for this credit card. I know that's in the way, but it's a $1,500 balance, and the interest rate is 21.325%. Monthly payment's $100. If you kept paying it, it'll be done in 13 months. And then there's a loan here for $3,500. Interest rate is 28%. Monthly payment $284, and that'll be paid off in 13 months, right? So the baseline, doing nothing, but just paying the bill on time each and every month, this will be paid off. All of their debt will be paid off in 13 months, okay? So the reason why he calls Velocity Banking a scam is because Miss Christy Van here, according to her video, says that to pay off $12,000 with zero cash flow within 10 months. Is that not an attractive title, right, to like click on? That's why I got 52,000 views, right? And that was 5 months ago. So in 10 months, she is claiming that somebody with zero cash flow can pay off $12,000 in debt, right? So what she establishes here, let me cancel that. I'll put the captions on here. Let me see if she moves to that side. Okay, perfect. So she is showing the credit card balance, $1,500. All right, y'all see that? $1,500. The truck, $7,000, right? She is factoring in a 4% balance transfer fee. And she uses the word convenience check. That is a critical detail. If you watch William Lee's video, he's saying that Christy Van is telling this client to do a cash advance. So he's saying that Christy Van told this person, this case study, to do multiple cash advances to pay off multiple loans, right? The two loans, stick them into the credit card. If that were the case, if Christy Van actually said that, I would pull her to the side, offline. I would set up a call and I'd say, hey, that particular video where you said cash advance for this person, you would have been better off letting that client do either a balance transfer on a 0% credit card and pay like a 2 to 4% balance transfer fee, or convenience check, right? But we don't want to do the cash advance, because if you do the cash advance on $7,000 and $3,500, they're going to get charged interest immediately rather than the interest accumulating until the due date. They're going to get charged compounded interest at a higher interest rate than 21.325%. But Christy Van did not say that, right? She did not say that in the video. She said this client is going to do a convenience check, 2 of them. One convenience check for $7,000, one convenience check for $3,500, and you will pay a 4% balance transfer fee on the $7,000, 4% on $35,000. She ran the math and said, boom, you're going to owe $12,420, right? So clear on that. So now that's a critical detail, because William Lee is under the assumption that this is a cash advance. So any math he displays after this point in time is going to be based off cash advance interest costs. And that's where the math separates. I'm going to stop and I'm going to look at some questions real quick. Do we understand? Put in the comments if you understand that cash advance interest and convenience check interest is calculated differently on a credit card, right? It is not the same. I'm having trouble with my little arm here. It keeps going up. Stay. So cash advance interest charges you the interest the moment you pull money out of the credit card. So now you're getting charged a higher interest rate. So let's say your credit card interest rate is 21.325%. On cash advance, it'll be a couple points higher than that. It might say 26.99%. So you're getting charged a higher interest rate. And not only are you getting charged a higher interest rate, you're being charged 26.99% daily, right? So it's split up. Or you do 26.99, you can divide it by 12, right? To get the actual daily interest per day, right? And that interest is actually being added to your balance. So by 12 o'clock a.m., you're going to see that interest added to your overall balance. So if you owed $12,420 on your credit card and you did cash advance, at the end of the day, you'll owe, say, $12,485. So you got charged $8.50 at the end of today. So that means tomorrow you're getting charged 26.99% on $12,485.50, not the original balance. So it's going to be compounding daily. That's very hard to pay off that kind of debt. Very hard. Versus convenience check, which Christy Vance said in the video, you do the $7,000, pay off the truck, do the $3,500, pay off the loan, right? The only charge we're getting is that 4%. So it would be $420. So that gets added to the overall balance. Now I owe $12,420, right? I'm going to stay at 21.325% interest. I'm going to stay at that rate. And then by doing velocity banking, by dumping a portion of my income in, not all of it. If you watch the video, you'll see how he says that the client is dumping all their income in all at once, right? He makes a valid point that with Chrissy Van's videos, or that one specific video, that we're assuming that the client is dumping in all their income at once, which is not the case, right? And again, in Chrissy's video, she did not say that. She showed the math of $12,420 minus the cash flow gain of no longer making those monthly payments, along with bills that can be paid with a credit card, and that is getting deposited into the credit card. Now, what's cool about it is within the cycle, within the statement cycle, it doesn't matter when they get the money into the line of credit. Oh, you know what? That's not right. It does matter. It does matter when the money goes in, right? So that's a valid point from William Lee's perspective, is that if you're saying that the person's income's going in all at once, that is going to make a difference in terms of what we pay in interest versus if the income is getting deposited into the credit card 2 or 3 times throughout the month. That's going to change the interest cost. So he is correct about that. Now, what Christy Van did, what I noticed, the way she calculated the interest, I think she had ran it based on you getting charged interest on the full balance of what's owed. And the thing is, when you do a convenience check and when you have debt on a credit card, depending on when the money went in and as it came out, you're only going to get charged interest on a portion of the balance, right? So we'll come to the whiteboard here so I can illustrate that, and then I'm going to look at your questions, right? So here's the thing. Here are the debts, right? William Lee said cash advance. Christy Vance said convenience check. There's a big difference there in costs, so that changes the math. Here's how you calculate credit card interest on a credit card. You do 21.325%. You divide by 12, you're going to get that number. You times that number by the balance owed, 12,000, right? 420. In a 30-day period, you'll pay $220.71 if you didn't do anything, but just kept the balance there, right? So what Christy Van did was she calculated the balance on the highest balance, the lowest balance, ending balance. So highest balance, lowest balance, ending balance. She did her math. The number I got was 196.57. Her number was like 189. And then if you look at William's video, the interest was 183. So his interest is actually lower than mine and Christy Van's, right? And I will submit to you that all of our interest calculations are wrong. William Lee's interest calculation is wrong. Mine is wrong. And so is Christy Van's interest calculation wrong. The reason why they're all wrong, including myself, number one, Christy Van is overestimating. I overestimated William Lee. He actually came the closest, which was his number was 183. It's actually going to be less than 183 moving forward. And here's why, right? Here's why. Let's say that the credit card that we're going to move debt into, the due date, let's just say it's the 1st of every month. Let's say the closing date is the 4th. All right. Now, if Christy Van was talking to the client, I don't think she didn't cover it in the video, but I'm pretty sure offline with the client, she's informing them when to move the truck and move the loan into the card, right? Now, the most efficient time to move another debt into a credit card is after the closing date. After the closing date, because now you just bought 25 more days where you're not going to get charged interest. Because the way interest works from month to month on a credit card is we're only getting charged interest on whatever the statement balance is owed. So we're in July right now, right? And they owe, let's say, $1,500 on the credit card. So that means on August 1st, they're only being charged 21.325% on $1,500 owed, right? So it is what's today? Today's the 15th, right? So today's the 15th, July 15th, okay? If they moved $7,000 and $3,500 today, July 15th, they will not get charged interest on August 1st. They will not. So what that means, ladies and gentlemen, is that when the income plus the cash flow, so portion, see, their income is $5,200. That's their total income. They spend $5,200. 644, 100, 284 are the three payments that we're removing. It's July 15th. In their expenses, they calculated 1,028 of new cash flow. That's in her video. And then the difference is expenses. So it was like 2,000 and some change of expenses. So now between July 15th and August 1st, she removed the payment of the $100. So she's not going to owe $100, right, on August 1st, because 3,228 would have gone in from July 15th to August 1st, right? Roughly, right? Let's just say that was the case. So 3,228 went in, and then expenses came out. This client would still only get charged interest on $1,500, right? And then after the closing date on August 4th, from that point in time to September 1st is when I finally will get started. Will I get charged interest on the remaining balance of the credit card? So that first month, right? I said 196. Again, Christy did like 189. Williams 183. We're all wrong, right? I established the cost if you did nothing, not even made a payment, you'd get charged $220.71. And then doing velocity banking, this calculation is assuming that we owed $12,420 for 10 days, $9,192 for 10 days and 11,581 for 10 days. You'll get 196.57. That's not what's happening. Okay. So some key takeaways here is you're not being charged on the whole balance when you move debt into a credit card based on the timing that you do it. That you can avoid getting charged interest on the whole balance, and you can buy extra time. Okay. The other thing that Christy Van didn't talk about, which I thought was interesting, and maybe she just left it out on purpose just to show what it would look like without cashback rewards. So the charges that were running through the credit card, I would assume that credit card is giving something. Cashback rewards, 1%, 1.5, 2% maybe. So in her video, we didn't account for cashback rewards. Understand that cashback rewards applied to the statement balance each month before the due date, right, is going to decrease your interest costs even further, right? And then what I mentioned here, depending on when the money goes in and out, it will change the results, right? So being very slick as to when we pull expenses out, ideally you want to run your bills after the closing date before the due date. So you're going to be consistently buying more time, and now we're only getting charged 21.325% on a portion of what's owed, whereas when you look at his math on William Lee's video, in his math, the interest is being charged on the whole entire 12,420 compounded, right? Because he's assuming cash advance charges. So in his math, he's technically correct based on cash advance. Christy Van's math is correct based on convenience check, right? So you can see the differences here. That's critical. That's very, very important, right? So now let's see. And things, darn arm is messing with me today. So we're gonna go out a little bit further like this. Cool. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back. Let me look at some comments, see what we got going on. All right, so I left off at Joseph. Okay, tuning in from New Orleans. How we doing? Cool. Hello, Alex. Approved guys in the house. Sebastian Boyer. Colorado Springs. Okay, Charlotte's in the house. Georgia's in the house. Awesome. Deborah, good morning. Brandon, Maine's in the house. Excited I'm doing this video. Awesome. Appreciate that. William says, I look back at your older videos. You may call your first ones your worst ones. However, the step-by-step videos were pivotal to making your claim that velocity banking works. Thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's okay, bro. I started with you since the bedroom video games, loved and understood them because they were simple. Yep. Chrissy Van is nice. She is absolutely nice. Sweetheart. Sophia, I think the ones who are calling scam are the actual scam. Right? So again, try to turn it off, right? Like try to argue against velocity banking and put in the comments what are some things that we should be aware of when practicing the concept. And I think it's so critical to just run the math, the proper math, right? Because again, if you run the math incorrectly, then you can make the argument that velocity banking doesn't work for the way you ran the math. But if we run it correctly, no magic, right? William Lee claimed magic. He was like, there's this, I can't put my finger on it. It's too good to be true. So there must be magic. And I got to tell you, I feel honored. If you think I'm a magician, if you think I'm manipulating people, you think I'm that smart. I was saying last night, I'm 27 years old, Puerto Rican, Colombian kid out of Queens, New York. Don't know much about much. Didn't go to college. I'm not an expert. I'm not educated. I only know how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So if you think that I have the capacity to manipulate millions and millions of people on YouTube, what does that say about the viewers? Are we all knuckleheads? Are we all a little slow in the head? I don't think that's the case. I have so many clients that are engineers, doctors. I have lawyers. I have accountants. I have CPAs. I have entrepreneurs, CEOs, like architect, contractors, all different walks of life. I got a lot of Asian clients. I got a lot of Indian clients. These are the best people at math, right? And they're like, this makes sense. Not only does it make sense, the math is valid, right? They ran the math. So I'm just like, I don't know if I'm manipulating people, and I've made this statement before. I'll make it again. If this is truly a scam, I will shut my YouTube channel down. I will restart. I'll delete everything. Say, yep. Sorry, guys. I was under a spell. I was being manipulated by the devil, whomever. And I've been wrong this whole entire time. I've misguided you people into paying off all your debt super early. A total misguided thing. It's impossible to borrow from Peter to pay Paul and pay 0% interest. It's impossible to leverage debt. It's just not possible. You can't do it. It's illegal. It's a scam. Like, I'll be the first to say all that. But that's not the case. It's simply not the case, right? And again, I think you guys are smarter than me. I truly believe that. Like, I truly believe that there's clients that have been on this planet 50, 60, 70 years I'm working with. You've been working all your life, or you've got degrees, PhDs, people with masters. Like, I work with these people, and they're validating the math for me. We're doing it together. I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Like, I want to know. Like, this would be the greatest manipulation in the space of finance if this stuff is all wrong, right? Okay, Harriet, I like the interest, adds the interest cost. Love that. Your middle name is Napoleon. Thank you. I don't know if you could withdraw. Lee doesn't know that if you withdraw money from the credit card, you no longer have the grace period, ? Right? Correct. Right? So if you do a cash advance, you don't have that grace period of no interest being tacked on a daily basis. But if you do a convenience check, the interest is delayed until the due date, right? So if I'm getting in my income before the credit card is due, that means that 100% of my money going in is now principal, which reduces the balance owed on the card, which reduces the interest for the whole entire month. I like how Bank of America sends me the checks, but they have not come at times when I effectively use them. Okay. Bank of America is always hitting me up. Loving this live. Happy you're here, Miss Robin. I love how you're not running from people calling it a scam. Instead, you face it, break it down, stand your ground. I think it's a healthy way. I even reached out to William. I was like, dude, you're making valid points. Like, we should not be doing cash advances. I think that's like a last resort, right? And even then, I probably wouldn't do a cash advance. I probably would not do nothing. Like, I just stay where I'm at unless I absolutely like need money. Before I do that, I'm going to borrow from friends and family. I'm going to reach out to my pastor. I'm going to reach out to somebody, right? Before I try to do a cash advance. So I'm trying to get people to think differently. So he makes some really good points, reached out, didn't get a response from them. He even put in the comment section, he said, if you want to talk about it, if you don't agree with me and you want to have a conversation. So he put it out there in the comment sections. Y'all could read his comments. He made it very abundantly clear that we could reach out and we can ask questions and we can have a dialogue. And he didn't reach out. And I saw him responding to other people's comments. He wasn't responding to me. So I'm like, come on, let's have a conversation. Healthy dialogue, right? Healthy. No name calling, no disrespect. You don't have to worry about none of that here, right? I don't do that. I don't have to devalue someone's position by calling them names and discrediting who they are to make a point. I don't have to do that, right? If people do that, then you're terrible at making points. You're a terrible debater. You don't know how to communicate your point across without devaluing the other side, right? But if you can have a constructive dialogue where you can hear both sides and then people can make their own decision, hey, I think the entire audience wins, right? The 79 people in the house here, you guys would win. The hundreds of people that watch his video, thousands of people that watch my video, Chrissy Van, we all win when we have all of the details in front of us, full transparency. So for the 82 people watching currently, we got 29 people that have liked the video so far. If you're enjoying this, please go ahead and like the video for me. That helps allow others to watch this in depth and look at the math and see what both people are saying, so we can see if this makes total sense, right? Nelson says, I didn't realize there was a difference between interest costs of the cash advance and the convenience checks. So now I know more. Love it. Love it. Yeah, there is a difference. If you read the terms and agreements, when you do a cash advance, they increase the rate on you, and then you get charged that rate daily compounded. Versus a convenience check, you're writing a check, you'll get charged interest on the due date. And if you can manipulate that rate before the due date, you got a 25-day cycle to roughly do that, you're going to pay less interest. So you're not going to pay 21.325%. William says she estimated higher. She did. So did I, right? William, what's funny with his numbers, his interest actually was the lowest one. It says 183 in the first month. And I submit to you, to everyone here, that it's actually going to be less than that number. It's probably going to be an extra 10, 20 more dollars, I would assume, less in interest, especially when you tack on cashback rewards and the timing of when money goes in and as it's coming out. So ideally, we want to pay into the credit card before the due date, and we want to take expenses out after the closing date. That is a general rule. So you want to always pay money into the credit card before the due date. On a credit card, that will be 100% principal. And then you want to swipe the credit card to pay your bills that can be paid with a credit card. Not the things that can't be paid with a credit card, because then you're going to get charged more interest. Unnecessary. We can avoid that. Right? So you would run your bills on the credit card after the closing date so that those bills don't register on next month's statement in terms of what you get charged in interest. So that's $2,000 less of the total balance that I didn't get charged interest for, because I'm only getting charged interest on the statement balance of the credit card, not the whole balance from month to month. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? That's pretty cool. Then he says, wait, they're not getting charged interest because they put in their check after the closing date? Correct. Right? So again, we're paying into the card before the due date, right? And we're taking expenses out after the closing date. So you need to know your due date, your closing date, your statement balance. I promise you, you're only going to get charged interest on your statement balance. So if you can manipulate that before the due date, you're going to pay less than 21.325 interest. So that's why moving 28% to 21, moving 12% to 21, and 21 becomes less than 10, you're paying off debt faster. Hence her point is everything gets paid off in 10 months. That's how you get that math. So you need to put a question mark there. Yeah. So you have to be aware where your money is going. You can't do velocity banking blindly. That's a great point. James says, Denzel, so you should understand or take away from this that you should only charge or move cash advance after the credit card due date to avoid interest, right? No, James. No cash advance, period. So we have to change our language, right? That's what William Lee made a mistake on. He used the word cash advance. Christy Van used the word convenience check. That's two different meanings, right? Can you guys see how that can make a big difference for the whole video is messed up now because he said cash advance. So the whole case study is messed up because now those people that are watching are going to go watch her video and she's going to say convenience check, but they are hearing cash advance. So notice how James, same thing. And you've been watching me for a while. You use the word cash advance. We're not doing cash advance. Convenience check. Very, very, see how I got to I have to keep saying, I got to drill it in. So you guys realize, oh, wait a minute. There's a difference. There's a difference. Love the videos. Keep doing you. Absolutely. Proper math is good. I think it's best to forecast how much interest you will have to pay. I believe you in the past always had a disclaimer that you estimated higher amount on debt. It's cash flow nonetheless. Correct. Her bank sent her a pro offer for a 0% rate for some time. What were you referring to? Adventure Prime? I don't remember. I've been running Velocity Banking for 3 years and cut out over $82,000 for my mortgage. Phenomenal. If it was a scam, they would have shut your channel down a long time ago. Not necessarily the case. Not necessarily the case. Miss Robin. Does anybody know CoffeeZilla or what's the other guy's name? It's I don't know his name, but his channel is called Pocket Watchers, or yeah, it's called Pocket Watch, Pocket Watcher, or Pocket Watch, something like that. These are two YouTube channels where all they do all day long is expose scams, right? On the internet, YouTubers, content creators, influencers that get people to invest in different things and it turns out to be a scam. So there are a good amount of scams out there that are just right in front of your face. People just creating content, getting you to invest in things, and they're not being shut down, right? Takes a really long time where a lot of money has to be stolen and just a lot of people have to get hurt before they do anything, right? So it takes a while. Can you do velocity banking to make money? Question mark. The answer is yes. Like with dividends, for example, I think so, but I'm messing up on the interest part. Yes. So you can do velocity banking to make money in real estate. You can do velocity banking to make money starting your own business, right? But if you're borrowing from a variable rate line of credit at a relatively high rate, say 9%, 12%, whatever it is, and you're going to invest in the stock market for the sake of dividends, earning 3%, 4%, maybe you average 9%, even if you're averaging a higher rate of return than the interest rate on your line of credit, you have to run proper math on the taxes that you're going to owe, the cost of the investment. There are fees and costs, so you have to figure out what is the internal rate of return, and then you also have to factor in potential losses. So I think that's super risky to take money from a line of credit at a relatively high rate, above, let's say, 8.25%, because that's the prime rate, and then throw that at the stock market for dividends. I think you could get way more value either investing in real estate with debt, and there's a bunch of YouTube channels that talk about that, or investing in your own business. So instead of investing in the S&P 500, investing in the S&Me 500. Shout out to Alex Hormozy, who said that line. So I would look into that. Linda here from Canada. The only way I could see people calling this a scam is when they don't have a budget, overspend, and run everything through the line of credit, then their balance is higher. There you go. Thank you, Linda. Right? So now we're thinking against velocity banking, right? Give me more comments that talk negative towards velocity banking. Let's make that abundantly clear to people that are watching this, so they can understand that if I don't have discipline, if I don't have a good budget, a good read, if I don't know my numbers, if I don't have, positive cash flow, preferably, if I don't have good credit, right? Good credit is a great way to enhance velocity banking because you're going to get the best interest rates, right? So if you don't have these things in place, if you haven't done the pregame work, then you're going to hurt yourself. Reggie says, what's up, Denzel? I've been following you since 2018. Back then, fixed rates for PLOCs were easy to find. Now all I can find are various interest rates, variable interest rates. You are correct. I have not seen fixed PLOC rates at banks. What's really attractive are secured personal line of credit, where you can get like less than 4%, less than 5%. Do you think purchasing a gift card and converting it to a money order and then depositing into your bank account is better than a cash advance? There's probably a fee to get the gift card, which is probably less than the cash advance. And then what does it cost to do a money order, process that, and then how long is that whole entire process, right? That I think that right there sounds like a major headache that I could completely avoid with a simple convenience check, ladies and gentlemen. Convenience check. Convenience check. Convenience check. Like, let's stop trying to do the hard thing, right? A lot of us in here are addicted to the hard thing in your finance. You guys do the hardest thing when it comes to making money instead of doing the most efficient thing. So many of us are workaholics and then add hard-aholic. So you're a hard workaholic, right? And you're always doing the hardest thing to make money, to improve your finances, when there are so many ways that we can do things easier, simpler, more efficient, alternative ways to improve it. If we can just increase our wisdom, knowledge, increase patience, increase preparation, you're going to go such a long way when it comes to your finances, right? So like, I don't even think about, okay, money order, gift card, I'm like, oh, let me just write a convenience check. Matter of fact, let me just get a 0% credit card with no balance transfer fee. Why not? All I got to do is have good credit. How do I get good credit? By doing things that the gurus in the credit expert space talk about, improving your credit. All I got to do is Google it. I don't even got to pay nobody. I can Google it, learn it. Okay, let me do that step. Okay, let me incorporate that. Okay, let me incorporate that. Let me incorporate that. And then within 6 to 12 months, I can maybe double my credit score or increase it 100 plus points, whatever the case may be, and in a much better position. Velocity banking as a concept is about understanding your capital structure and then using consolidation to reduce capital costs and lines of credit to increase capital efficiency. Love it. Such a good definition there. I was approved for an intro 0% for the next year. My plan was to take cash advances, but now I'm confused. Good, Tammy. Right? So now I've just made you aware. I've made you aware that you have 0% intro rate offer on a credit card. You can do 3 things with that credit card. You can do a balance transfer at 0%, and you're probably going to pay a balance transfer fee. That's one option. The second option is you can do a cash advance, but you can only take out a portion of the money of your credit limit. So you might have a credit limit of $10,000 and then it says your cash advance limit is $4,000, right? If you did that, you're forfeiting the 0%. You're not going to get 0% on cash advance because if you read the terms and agreements, most credit cards says 0% on balance transfers and or purchases. Doesn't say anything about cash advance. You guys see that? So when you're trying to pay off a credit card with a credit card, or pay down a mortgage with a credit card, or pay off a car with a credit card, that you couldn't typically do that by writing a convenience check. You can write a check to your checking account or to the institution that you want to pay off. Preferably, I do convenience checks directly to my checking account, right? So now I have cash. So I just got the cash much cheaper than the person that did cash advance. And it's 0% for, like you said, a year. So I'm like, now I literally just moved debt from a high interest rate location to a 0% interest rate location. The balance transfer fee that I pay is going to be it's the same interest I was paying over there on that loan. Now I'm just paying less. Right? Can't buy gift cards with credit cards in California. Didn't know that. That is not true. I buy gift cards with credit cards all the time. I think I do that too. I think I've done that. I think I used a credit card one time to buy a gift card. You got to pay the $495 fee or whatever it is. So Chicago says, I have a first position HELOC. My interest rate has gone from 3.75 to 8%. Yep, that happened. Or maybe you got it back in like 2020. So now here would be how we would look at this, right? So it's like I was doing velocity banking for however long at that 3.75%. Hopefully you did the right stuff. Hopefully you paid off a ton of freaking debt at that low rate of 3.75%. And then as the interest rate creeped up, then it went to 4, then it went to 5, then it went to 6, then it went to 7. Now it's at 8%. And it keeps going up. Guess what? You could go get another first position HELOC. Go to a different bank. That bank is no longer serving you. Right? Guys, why do we have to be so loyal to banks? Why? Right? I can literally go make a new relationship with a new bank, go get another first position HELOC at an intro rate offer of, 3.99% for the first 12 months or 5.5% or 6.5%. And now I just effectively lowered that cost of borrowing. Why wouldn't I do that? Right? Especially if there's no closing costs. Especially if, let's say, you had a first position HELOC, right? And you paid off everything except for the remaining debt that's now in the first position HELOC. Let's say you got really good credit. One option, I can either go get another first position HELOC at a much lower rate, preferably zero closing costs or very, very low cost to do so. Second option is I can go get a 0% credit card with a 0% balance transfer fee and just move a ton of debt into that card, continue to do velocity banking on the first position. Right before that card expires, throw it back into the HELOC, right? And now you're, instead of paying 8%, that's your declared rate right now, but we can bring your borrowing costs back down to the 3.75% net cost of borrowing. So, there's so much we can do, guys, with this stuff. William, if you do not know your numbers, you do not know your fine print on your tools, debt weapons, credit card, your velocity banking strategy will never be set up for debt relief through offsets. Absolutely correct. Thank you. It's hard for me to learn when it's time to take out the chunk and I have to make the payment to the line of credit at the same time. Will there be an error in that? No, Frank. So all that's happening, right? For those of you who have a line of credit, right? And you take money out to the checking account, right? So now my line of credit is now in debt because I made a withdrawal. So money came out and hit the checking account. And I'm going to make a chunk, right? So now the checking account makes the chunk, right? Now, let's say I'm making the chunk today on July 15th, and I also get paid today on July 15th. So let's say my paycheck is $5,000. So $5,000 goes into the checking account. let's say you took out $10,000 from the line of credit. So now you have $15,000. Same day. 5K went in, 10K went in to the checking account. 15K total. 10K is my chunk. So now I have 5K in the checking account. What do I do with that 5K? I move it in the line of credit. So now instead of owing 10K on the line of credit, now I owe 5K. But then wait, you're like, Denzel, on July 15th, I have a $2,000 expense. Okay. So now you take out $2,000. Same day, $2,000. And pays the bill. $2,000. At the end of July 15th, my checking account should be at $0. Right? And then I owe $7,000 on the line of credit at the end of July 15th, plus whatever interest for that day. See how that happens? Money came out, made the chunk. Money came in to the checking account. Money goes back into the line of credit. Oops, I have to pay bills. Money comes out to pay your bills. Checking account pays the bill. Checking account is now at $0. July 16th, you don't have a bill. July 17th, no bill. July 18th, no bill. July 19th, you have a $500 bill. Line of credit, pull $500 out. So money in, money out, money in, money out. Now, you can also add a safety measure here with overdraft protection, where you use the line of credit as overdraft protection on the checking account in case you forget to pay a bill, Mr. Frank. That your line of credit will automatically at midnight withdraw, right? Because your checking account went negative. By the end of the day, instead of having a non-sufficient fund fee get charged at the end of the day, the line of credit would withdraw whatever it is to pay the bill. It'll bring your account back to $0, right? Pretty powerful stuff here. 95 people in the house now. If you don't mind, if you're enjoying this video, please like the video. All right, we have 56 likes so far, 95 people in the house. For that difference, please go ahead and like the video. Appreciate you very, very much. Let's continue with conversation here with different comments. I'm going to go back and run the math to make sure I accounted for all fees and taxes before I buy the stock. Absolutely. All right. You need to read your term sheet. The last page of your credit card statement makes everything more clear. Absolutely. I am doing velocity banking just from what I've learned from you and is working for me. I have a HELOC and run most of my bills through it. I will be eliminating a $230,000 mortgage once I start working formally with you. Wonderful, wonderful. What are the best PLOCs you've seen? Any with cashback or perks? No. So a personal line of credit, I have never seen a personal line of credit with any cashback or any perks. With a secured personal line of credit, that means you're taking your own capital, giving it to the bank, and then the bank is giving you a line of credit according to what you secured as collateral. What I have seen is that bank will stick your money in a high yield savings account or maybe a CD. And so now you're earning an interest rate that you can help offset the interest rate that the bank charges you. And then by doing velocity banking, we can offset that even further. All right. So I have seen that. There's a bank called Tropical Financial Credit Union in South Florida. If you're in South Florida, they have that option. There are other banks all throughout the United States. We just have to do the research. And here's the thing. I don't like giving bank names. I like giving you the parameters, the fundamentals to ask the right questions, because today that bank might offer a HELOC and then tomorrow they're not. For example, Navy Fed, when COVID initially hit, they stopped offering home equity lines of credit. They pulled it from their product offering. So if you applied for a HELOC in that time, they'll still take your application. They'll run your credit, right? So you get all these inquiries. They ran your credit all to let you know, hey, at the time, at this moment, we are currently not offering any home equity line of credit. We are sorry to inform you of this information. Had you done your research on that bank and called, hello, Navy Fed, are you currently offering home equity line of credit in the second or first position? No, we are not. You just avoided 3 inquiries, right? Wonderful. So again, it goes back to preparation, patience. Stop rushing into doing velocity banking. There's no need to rush. We go slow to go fast. All right. Parker, how you doing? I need to find one of those 0% interest cards. There are so many. There's so many. You got Amex doing stuff, Capital One, Bank of America, Chase, Wells, Citi, Discover, even the ones you currently have, you can call them and ask them, hey, are there any offers? Do you guys have any offers at this moment? Any 0% offers, anything like that? I just got offered another opportunity with another credit card. So I'm thinking about closing this one. I'm thinking about like not using this card anymore. And they're like, oh, Miss Robin, you've been with us for 10 years, 5 years. You've had this credit card. We can absolutely give you a 6%, a 6-month 0 interest rate offer on balance transfers and purchases. Right? Like, guys, it's out there. Banks are willing to do this day in and day out, especially if you've been considered a long-time client with them. You've had cards, right? When do you actually pay off the line of credit? When the line of credit hits 0 is a simple answer. That's how you know you actually paid it off, when it hits true 0, where you don't have to pull from it again to pay bills, right? So that's how you know when you actually have paid off the line. Now, what happens is when we're doing velocity banking, sometimes we don't have to wait to hit 0 on the line of credit before making the next chunk. Here's another point that I will make, going back to Christy Van's video and William's video, is as you approach the balance getting closer and closer to 0, there's going to be a point where the last couple of months, you're literally paying like nothing in interest, right? Complete offset. So that indicates that, okay, this is done, right? Even though I'm using the card the next month to run bills, technically this is done. I paid it off. So that's why when that may come off as not sincere or confusing or whatever the case may be, let me help you with that. So I'm going to run quick math here. This is what's happening. Christy Van already ran the numbers, right? So I'll just do it again, but really, really fast. So she's saying that $12,420 is the starting balance of the credit card, right? We paid off 2 loans, and we have the existing balance on the same credit card of $1,500. She's saying that $3,228 total is going into the card. So $3,228, and then minus $1,028, we have $2,200 in expenses coming out of the card. So $12,420 minus $3,228 plus $2,200, right? $11,392, right? So 11,000. Let me run that one more time. 12,420 minus 3,228 plus 2200. Okay, 11,392. Got it. So ending balance of the first month. All right. Make sure I got my math right. 1028. Okay. So now 11,392, and then let me show you how Chrissy Van did it. If we go back to her video here, so notice how, yeah, 11,581. She added the interest, right? She's adding it. Then she did it again, add the interest, did it again. So that was 1 month, right? We got 1 month here, minus income, plus expenses, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months so far. It's 4 months. So now she keeps talking. She works us through the math, and then she's gonna write it out. She's gonna start writing it out. So then she did it for us, month 5, right? She's gonna keep writing it out. Month 5, month 6, month 7. Okay. We're at month 8. What is she saying the balance goes down to? Guys, right here, she's completely overestimating on interest here. Right? 3,011.95. If that's the ending balance on month 8, that's the ending balance. We now have more money going in, right? Oh, no, that's not the ending balance. Ending balance is right here, 5,293, right? So that's month 9, right? Around this point, the interest is practically like nothing, paying almost nothing in interest. Very, very small. So she's saying right around this point in time, at month 9, balance is right at like 2,065.04. Let me see, did she keep going with it? She did not. Right, so she's saying month 10, it'll be done. Right? Month 10, this will be done. But we're still going to use the card to run expenses. But after month 10, right, I'm literally not paying any interest because what I charged to it versus what I paid into it would cancel the interest. Which is why you could say, well, technically the card's not paid off, but it is paid off. Right? So month 10, it's paid off because we're not paying interest. And now for the preceding months, all I'm doing now is running bills through it, paying it back in full, not paying a dime in interest. Right? Pretty powerful stuff. Right? So that's extremely important for us to get that. 92 people in the house, 68 likes. If you're enjoying this, please like the video. If you're liking this, is velocity banking a scam? Right? Let's look at the good. Let's look at the bad. Let's look at the ugly. Let's understand what are we solving for and why. Let's learn how to run the right math and not do the things that get misrepresented. For example, like cash advances. It's a complete misrepresentation of velocity banking. I typically avoid cash advance at all costs. I can't remember the last time I don't think I've ever informed a client to do a cash advance. Funding Guru says, I want to do velocity banking on my business debt. Great. Now I got a second position HELOC in 2021 at 3.5%. Now it's grown to 8.25. You suggested that I should maybe go somewhere else. Why not? But my finances all run through this credit union. And besides, I have a balance on the HELOC. That's okay. The other bank can pay that balance off, right? And then I can move all my income and all my bills and all my auto pay to that new bank. Guys, that's not a hard thing to do. It takes a month to, get organized, situated with the new bank. And you have to determine, is it worth your time and money to go back to an extremely low rate? So instead of being at 8.25, is it worth going all the way down to 5, 4, 3.99, 4.99, 5.5? Is it worth it to you? To me personally, I don't mind. I jump. If that line of credit is no longer serving me, it's no longer serving me. Goes back to my point about forcing velocity banking, right? If I'm at an 8.25% rate on my mortgage and I was originally at a 3.75%, and my first mortgage, my first lien mortgage was at a 5% rate. So that means that you were making chunks at 3.75 to pay off 5%, amortized. That is a clear win. William Lee on his channel, he towards the end of his video, he talked about that the only way to pay off debt is by consolidating to lower interest by using debt. That's an absolutely true statement. Right? The only way to pay off debt with debt is by moving that debt to a lower interest location. That's the only way to use debt to pay off debt faster than doing nothing, is by consolidating it to lower cost interest. And then if you tack on velocity banking, it's just going to speed it up even further. Phenomenal stuff. So I'm a big fan of jumping from credit line to credit line if and when it makes sense, especially if that tool is no longer serving me. I always make a good point here, when I'm working with people in the beginning. Typically, this case study right here, I don't think they have a mortgage. They might have had a mortgage. But let's say you're someone wanting to do velocity banking, you don't have a mortgage, right? Well, a HELOC is out of the equation because you need a property in order to get a HELOC. So your options are credit cards and a PLOC, right? Let's say you first get a credit card. You start doing velocity banking with a credit card at 25%. Okay? And let's say you pay off some credit cards, you get results, and then maybe you find another credit card where you're able to get a 19% rate. Should I keep using this card or should I move to the lower rate? That's an obvious decision. I'm moving to the lower rate. Let's say you find another credit card. They're offering 0%. And then afterwards, it's 17.99%. Jump, guys. Stop playing. Stop fooling around with your money. Get serious, right? 25% is where you started. That's not where you end, right? So then you jump to 19. Then you find a 0% card, and then it's 17.99 afterwards. And then maybe you upgrade. And then you finally get access to a personal line of credit for $40,000 at 7.99%. Do you stay with that credit card? No. Jump. jump. Keep getting lower and lower and lower, because that is going to help you pay off debt faster and faster and faster. You don't stay there, guys. Don't settle. You have so many options. This is America. You have so many options. Why settle when these banks are competing for your business? These different rates, they're competing. And then understand your baseline is understanding prime interest rate. So if prime is at 8.25%, when it comes to debt tools, I am looking for anything below 8.25%. That's going to put me ahead of everybody else, right? So if I had a PLOC at 7.99% and I'm paying off debts, I'm continuing to pay off debts, and then maybe you get a mortgage in 2023. So let's say you obtain a mortgage in 2023 at a 6.5 interest rate, right? 30-year fixed, right? Here's the beautiful part. This PLOC at 7.99, because you're doing velocity banking, you're able to bring the cost net down to around 3.5% or less, right? And then you coupled it with a 0% credit card earning 2% cashback rewards. The question is 3.5 and 2% less than 6.5? It absolutely is. Even 7.99 is less than 6.5. So I could do velocity banking on this mortgage with my PLOC at 7.99 plus credit card attached to run bills and pay this off faster than anyone making extra payments. I'm able to guarantee that because I can run the math, right? And then let's say you're doing velocity banking, you're making chunks on this mortgage, everything got paid off, you're doing velocity banking on the mortgage, and so now you're creating equity, you're creating space. So you continue to create equity, you continue to create space, then you get to a point where you're able to remove PMI before the person making extra payments. So now that's more cash flow for you. And then to be even more slicker, maybe you go ahead and you remove escrow, where you paid out of pocket rather than it being paid on a monthly basis out of that payment. So now more money is staying in the PLOC throughout the year. So that's two little additions that make you go faster than making extra payments. And then guess what? Because you remove PMI, so you got 20% maybe now of equity in there, well, why not graduate to a HELOC? And maybe you can get in to an intro rate offer at 4.99% for 12 months. Let's say you found that. So now you got a HELOC. You upgraded from the PLOC. Now guess what? Do I close this credit card? Do I close this credit card? Do I close this credit card? Do I close this PLOC? Absolutely not. Keep all four of those. You might want to go back to them. They might offer you something later on. So we don't close any of these accounts. Keep them all open. This is capital, 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 capital. Lots of efficiency, right? So then you graduate, let's say, to the HELOC. So you just jumped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times to get out of debt faster. You're jumping because you're going to do business with the banks that take care of you the best, that give you the best rates, the cheapest cost to borrow. And there's no emotion here, guys. Just running the math. You're getting everything you deserve because you're running your numbers, you're doing your homework, you got good credit, you're establishing good relationships with banks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're at 4.99% for the next 12 months, I mean, you could hammer on the mortgage now because 4.99 is less than 6.5. Ain't nobody going to argue about that. And then let's say after 4.99, it'll jump to 7.75%. Variable. Still lower than 7.99. But understand that at 7.75, am I paying that? No. I'm probably paying like 3% net cost. Because think about all the damage you did up front, right? And then what we have to realize with velocity banking. Not enough of us talk about this regarding the mortgage. Eventually, velocity banking will not make sense if the rate is higher than the mortgage rate. And that's typically towards the end of the loan. So here's the thing. If we, through this whole process, we're now, say, a solid 3 years ahead of Snowball, making extra payments, whatever the case may be, if we're ahead, let's stay ahead. Let's not force this to work in our favor, right? Let's not force it. So you may want to say, all right, I've gotten the most out of this tool. I'm not going to use it anymore to pay off my 6.5% mortgage. I've got 4 years left on the mortgage. If I just make extra payments, or 2 years left, a year and a half left, if I just make extra payments, that 6.5 is no longer 6.5 as you approach the end of the amortization loan. So know that if your debt tool is at a higher rate than your mortgage, and you're towards the end of that amortization schedule, it is most likely not going to make sense to continue to use velocity banking to pay it off. You might as well stop while you're ahead, right? Pause while you're already ahead, and just extra payments, and now you're done. You finished way ahead, and now you got 4 different capital lines that you can use for investing, right? How do you like that? Was that good? Like this video if you enjoy that little skit right there. You enjoyed that. And now I'm going to look at questions again. All right. Let's look at some more questions. Cool. So, Frank, thank you. Cool. Teresa. Citi running a 0% for 21 months for those looking for balance transfers. Thank you, Teresa. Guys, if you guys know banks, you know credit cards, you know current offers right this minute, like throw it in there. It might be valuable for some people. Navy Fed decreased their checking line of credit from $15,000 all the way down to $3,000. I verified this by calling last weekend. Exactly my point. Why would I apply for Navy Fed, right, if I don't run the math? Why would I apply for that if I didn't run the math? That's important. Super important. I noticed out on the weekend my transfers and withdrawals don't show online in my HELOC. The interest is still charged daily, right? Correct. I keep all transactions written down and keep up with the daily interest. You are correct, right? When it comes to the HELOC, if you don't see the interest charged to your balance that day, that typically means that the interest is going to get charged on the due date as a whole payment, right? So that's typically how most of the HELOCs work. The interest isn't charged until the due date. So when you're taking money out and you deposit funds in, you'll have the option to make a principal only payment. And that's typically what we want to do, right? Where do I look to find a no closing cost HELOC? On a bank's website, right? So let's do it together, right? Because I feel like we need to really get good at market research, right? Let's get good at this, guys, because it is not difficult, right? So we're gonna go to Google. I'm in the state of Florida. So here's how I do my research. I go to Google, right? And the first thing I'm going to type are credit unions in South Florida. Okay? Everyone in here that does not have a debt tool, right? For the 84 people watching and growing, if you do not have a debt tool, you do not have a line of credit, this is how you want to start your research. Credit unions in the state, city that you are in, right? Narrowed research. And then you're going to hit enter. Boom. Options are going to come on your screen. Right? So now, we're just going to go down the list. Florida's top credit union, Space Coast Credit Union. I'm going to click on them. Okay? On any bank's website, you are typically going to see many options at the top, right? We are typically going to find what we are looking for in the mortgages area or the loans area. Loan area if we are looking for a personal line of credit. Now, here's where it can get confusing because banks will use different terms, right? They use different terms to define their products for uniqueness. So we're going to click on what's called a signature personal loan if I'm looking for a personal line of credit. And we're going to see what they offer here. All right? So look, as of right now, based on the research I've done, I don't see a personal line of credit on their website. So that can mean one of two things. Either they took it away, or maybe it's in a different location I just can't find it at the moment. Based on what I'm looking at, I don't see a personal line of credit. So now I'm going to go to mortgages because let's say I'm looking for a home equity line of credit. Boom. They have what? Home equity loan. They have fixed rate home equity loan. And they have home equity line of credit. And I'm going to scroll. There you go. There you go. What does that say? Chicago. What does that say, Chicago? Where do I look to find a no closing cost HELOC? How long did that take me, ladies and gentlemen? Less than 2 seconds? Less than 2 minutes? Right? We got to read, guys. We have got to read. We got to read. No hidden terms or fees. No closing costs. No prepayment penalties. Ooh, sounds good. Let's keep reading. Let's look. Do they disclose their rates? Let's see. Scrolled. Effective date as of July 2023. Right? They offer principal and interest option 3.99% for the first 12 months. And then thereafter, as low as 7.75%. The only way to get as low as is with good credit. So, should I apply for this if I have a 550 credit score? No. You need to do the pregame work. You don't want to get denied. So those are the two options that they offer. Ladies and gentlemen, 3.99. Denzel, I can't find HELOCs for less than 9%. I can't find it. No. You didn't Google. You didn't take the extra 4 minutes and 37 seconds to do this research. And that bothers me because then you call me and you want me to do magic for you. And there's no magic. It's just simply math. And that's why guys like William Lee get frustrated when people are doing velocity banking with ridiculous rates because they're not doing the proper math. And that's where I agree with him. I'm like, yeah, these people are forcing velocity banking to work when they don't have to. They're hardaholics. They like to do the hard thing. I don't know what it is. We're addicted to hard things. But then when it comes to easy money, simple processes, we run away and call them scams. Isn't that funny? Right? So, and then it says as low as 7.75 afterwards. Guys, that is 0.5% below the current prime rate. That's just one bank in South Florida, Space Coast Credit Union. Let's do more research. Let's keep it going. Let's look at Navy Fed, because everybody's talking about Navy Fed, right? I don't really like them, right? Get low rates. Let's see what the heck they're talking about. Looking. All right. Loans and credit cards. Now, what I will say is that their credit cards at Navy Fed are pretty attractive, right? Let's look at home equity loan. Fixed rate equity loan. Don't pay attention to that. Home equity line of credit. As low as 8.5%. That is 0.25% above the prime. I'm not even going to look further. At this. Why should I settle for this? Right? Why? So X, go out of there. Let's see LIEN credit union. Let's see what they got. I'm not seeing jack. Right? Like, what is this? This can't help me. Next. Keep going. Tropical Financial Credit Union. Okay? Let's see what they got. Boats. I'm going to click around. See current rates. All right. Keep going. Let's keep going. Okay, let's go to borrow. Let's go to personal loans. Florida personal loans and HELOCs. Look how easy this is. Personal line of credit from 5 to 10K with secured and unsecured options. Right? Check out credit union personal loan and line of credit rates in Florida. Personal line of credit rates low as 15.25%. That is way too high. I'm not even going to look at that. But look at their secured line of credit option. Look at that. What? 2.55%? We recommend this option if you're looking for a way to help build your credit while continuing to earn interest on the money in your savings account. Held as collateral. Variable rate based on current savings rate plus 2.5%. Other conditions may apply. So they're going to pay me a 2.5% rate on the $10,000 that I secure, and now I have a personal line of credit at 2.55%. Do you know how much debt I could demolish with a 2.55% rate doing velocity banking? My net borrowing cost would be less than 0.25%. Boom. Just found you a secured HELOC. Let's go to home loan. Home equity line of credit. See what they got. Look at this. First lien, 5-year, 5.89%. That is nearly 3 points below prime. First lien HELOC, 10-year, 6.14%. 2 points below prime. Second lien. All of these rates are below prime. Home equity line of credit rates. First lien adjustable, 7.25. Denzel, I can't find a home equity line of credit for 9%. All right. Just found you another bank. Let's keep going. Why are we playing? Why are we playing games? Let's look at Bright Star Credit Union. Right? Where is it? Products and services. Special HELOC. We know teaching can be a stressful job. Let us help you relax with our all-new Educators Home Equity Line of Credit. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Depending on what kind of job you have, you're a police officer, you're a firefighter, you're a nurse, you're a first responder, you work for the government. Guys, if you do even deeper research, there are certain banks catered to certain careers where you can get exclusive discounted rates based on your work. This exclusive discount offer allows educators to take advantage of 6.74% APR for 12 months when using the equity in their home for a much-needed vacation, home renovations, or what's that? Debt consolidation. In other words, debt consolidation and velocity banking put together, right? 80% LTV, 6.74% full year, right? Boom, another bank below 9%. This is just in Florida. I can do any state. All right, let's look at more places. Power Financial Credit Union. Why don't we just keep going? Borrow, home equity line of credit, hybrid, variable rate. See what they got. They may cover up to $1,000 in closing costs. Okay, so now this is maybe with closing costs. Get the latest mortgage rates, learn more. Fixed rate between 6.74 8.74. Okay. First position. Variable rate between prime minus 0.25 and prime plus 0.75. Variable rate between prime plus 0 and prime plus 8.25. Is this attractive to me based on the other banks I looked at? No. So get out of it. Why waste your time? Right? We Florida Financial. Let's keep it going. You guys enjoying this? Loans. Home equity. Let's see what they got. Look at this. They got videos and little kids. Let's see. Do they disclosures and fees? Rates. Mortgage loans. Mortgages. Home ec. Boom. 8.25 is right at the prime rate. Okay. Maybe they have an interest rate offer. Maybe they don't. Is that good? You guys enjoy that? Am I crazy? Can we find debt tools at low rates? Can we? Want me to do another state? Chicago? You want to go to Chicago? Chicago, if you're in Chicago, I'll go there. Teresa, look, Discover, putting out value. Boom. Love the value here. Make sure you get qualified. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Utilization 130%. Yep. Not just overall, but each card. Also, each card may pull from a different bureau, and too many gets you decline. That's absolutely correct. Some cards allow you to apply with household income, while others require you to verify income. You can always call the card and ask questions before applying. Always ask. Ask as many questions as you possibly can think of. Denzel, I think of it, instead of saying the card is done, you should say it has returned to being in the grace period. Okay, cool. That's a good way. I'm up for improving my language there. Rates are always in comparison to each other. In terms of velocity banking, I think of my money market mutual fund, my operating bank account, as a line at 4.8%. Very important to deposit all income to the line of credit immediately upon receipt. Helps present temptation to use your ATM card. I like that. When people do a chunk payment, they are purchasing their own debt at a lower cost. Good point. Jesus, when are you going to start a YouTube channel? Calling you out. You got to get out there. What is a good rate on a HELOC? Are they offering 7.99% still? Maybe. I have seen a couple banks out there that are around that rate. But essentially, I am looking, especially for a personal line of credit, typically, right now, today, 2023, anything near 8.25% is probably going to be attractive. Most personal line of credits that I've seen are at around 9, 10, 11%, right? So again, it might be a temporary use, and then eventually we upgrade. Let's see. So is it better to put all my check into the line of credit or leave enough in my checking to pay bills that will come due shortly after payday? Question mark. No. So as I explained it, the minute your income hits your checking account, you're depositing it into your line of credit, especially if you made a chunk. Because you need to have all your income register into the PLOC as a payment, principal only, and then you immediately take it right back out to pay a bill. I'm telling you, there's a difference in doing that. There's a difference. If you have a line of credit, then all your income goes in and you take it out. What you need for your expenses, absolutely. But Denzel, when you jump to several other credit cards getting lower interest rate, doesn't that increase your credit bureau increase and lower your credit scores? Yes, but who cares? Who cares? Right? We're paying off debt. Are you trying to use credit to make an investment in or get a property in real estate or buy a new car? Then you should care, right? But if our focus is debt elimination, I don't care about my credit score. I care about what I need to get approved for that card when I jump to it, right? So if I'm using a card initially in my example, I said, look, we initially started out at 25%, right? And I'm doing velocity banking. That means I'm implying I'm paying off some debt here, right? I'm paying off debt, I'm paying off debt, I'm paying off debt. Then I get an offer in the mail, or I do some research. I find another credit card that I can transition to. I'm going to pay off that card that I was using at the 25%. I'm going to bring it down to zero. I'm going to look at my DTI. I'm going to look at my credit score. Okay, what do I need to do to get approved for that new credit card? I'm going to call that credit institution. What do I need to do to get approved for this credit card? You need to do X, Y, and Z. We like to see DTI here. We like to see credit score here. We look at this credit bureau here at 720 or higher credit score. Okay, great. I look at my stuff. Oh, I'm at a 737 here and 728 here and a 715 here. Okay, I'm going to get the 715 up to 720. Boom. DTI needs to be at 45%. I'm at 41. Okay, so I should be good there. Should be good here. Should be good there. Should be good here. Da da da. Boom. All right. Now, I then apply transition to a new credit card. My credit score is going to drop, but I don't care because I just got approved for my new debt tool. I have no intention of getting a new car. I have no intention of buying a new home at the moment. My focus is debt elimination. So I should not be adding more debt. I should be debt eliminating if that's my goal. Okay, cool. So now you just transition from 25% credit card to a 19% credit card. All right. So now you're doing velocity banking. Now you are now reducing your cost by 6% moving forward. Not bad, right? Paying off debt, paying off debt, paying off debt. Then you come across a new credit card offer, 0%. And then 17.99 afterwards. Okay, what do I need to do to get approved for that card? You do the same thing all over again, right? That's it. We are talking about a PLOC and not a credit card, two different things. You are correct. I feel that if you are chunking out of debt with a lower rate, it can make sense with micro chunks. High balance equals income, and it also works better the lower cash flow is relative to your income. That is true. If you are doing velocity banking with a higher rate tool to pay off a lower rate amortized loan, the best way to make sense of that is not to move the whole loan into the line, but to do it into smaller chunks so that you can control that higher rate and bring it to a lower net cost of the low rate amortized loan. And that's how you make sense of taking 4, bringing it over to 7, and then 7 becomes 2 in net borrowing costs. You can do that. That is amazing, right? We're approaching 2 hours, so I'll be ending soon. So you got questions, throw them in there. First live stream, awesome. Glad you're here. When you close a credit card, you lose the valuable credit history. Keep your credit cards open. Make sure you spend a little here and there to avoid the accounts closing. Payback same day to avoid interest. Absolutely. USAA is offering, love it, Tammy. Throw the value in there. Teresa's throwing value, right? Do you ever recommend doing a mortgage recast to lower payment while practicing velocity banking? Mr. Cooper does it with no cost. I'd be interested in looking at it to understand mortgage recast, how it works, what's the cost, right? Lowering the payment. Am I doing velocity banking on the mortgage already? What are my alternative options? Or Or am I recasting it, but I'm still paying off these other debts here to lower the payment, right? So that might be interesting to check that out. It's worth running the math and looking at all the options. Perez, I got a HELOC on both my personal and investment property through Schools First Federal Credit Union. I live in Orange County, California. Awesome. Perez, thank you for the value. Anybody in here of the 84 people watching, you have a debt tool, you have a line of credit, you have a HELOC, you have a credit card that you're using for velocity banking, throw it in the comments, the name of the bank, so that people who don't have can start doing better research to find the best tool that works for them at the most efficient rate that they can find. Do banks benefit from us using velocity banking ? Yes. The reason I'm curious is, will they eventually get on top of us and drop line of credits altogether or raise interest too much? No and no, right? Banks benefit tremendously from us using velocity banking, especially for the bank that you're doing the business with. So think about it this way. Let's say you're with ABC Bank, right? And you have a HELOC with them at a 7% rate. All right. And you have, 10 credit card debts and 3 personal loans and 2 car loans, all at these interest rates. This is all interest cost. ABC Bank is going to benefit because you're rerouting all the interest from all these debts. Your student loan debts too, everything. You're rerouting it to ABC Bank. So now ABC Bank is collecting interest from those debts that they weren't getting prior. So you're sending all the revenue to them. Now, you benefit because you're paying less interest. They benefit because they're getting that interest, all of that interest. So ABC is competing with these other options, right? They're competing for your business. So that's why it's very beneficial for the banks to let you do whatever it is that you want to do with your home equity line of credit, because that's your asset, it's your money in your home that you're using. So great benefits there, right? It's not profitable for the banks to teach you this. It's not profitable, not exactly scalable. Think about the amount of employees the bank would have to pay for that staff or for their employees to learn velocity banking, to then convey that message to you in a timely manner for you to get it. That the employees are going to require raises, right? It's going to take more time to teach you the material, and it's going to take a while for a majority of people to understand this. So again, it's not profitable for the bank to teach it, but it's profitable for a velocity banking practitioner and user to use it. Does that make sense? Because I'm sending all the business to them. They're getting all the interest, right? That they weren't getting before. When doing velocity banking, you care about the impact on your credit for maxing out the PLOC. When doing velocity banking, do you care about the impact on your credit for maxing out the PLOC? Well, I already see a problem there. Why are we maxing out the PLOC? Why are we maxing out our debt tool? That means we're probably not using my rules properly, right? So I would care if I need my credit for something else, like I'm going to get a car loan or I'm going to get a mortgage loan. Then typically we should not do velocity banking at all. If I'm trying to get approved for a car loan, or if I'm trying to get approved for a mortgage loan, I'm going to put velocity banking on hold, and I'm going to go back to just making regular payments so they don't see all that crazy activity of chunking money in, money out, balance going sporadic. I'm going to show a little bit of a consistent flow, make sure my credit scores are good, apply, get approved, then go back to velocity banking. Does that make sense? So I only care about my credit when I need to use it. When I don't need to use it and my focus is debt elimination, I'm not using my credit for anything. I just only need it to get the tool. And if I already have the tool, well, now I'm just going hard, and I want to try and not max out my HELOC. I want to make consistent chunks that make the most sense for what we're trying to accomplish. Tried to get PMI removed, even though my home now has a lot of equity. They said I couldn't. The only way to do it is to refi or wait for the 11 years to run out. So it might be worth getting a first position HELOC to get rid of the PMI. Might be worth it, right? Depending on how much that cost is. Your credit is going to go up and down in this process, but as a payoff debt, it will go up quite fast. Correct? Most banks, you have to actually Google personal line of credit because they don't advertise them directly on the site because they actually offer it. But they actually offer it. You're correct. Notice how I had to kind of dig a little. Once I'm on their site, I got to dig. Banks do not benefit that much. If everyone did velocity banking, that's when you'll really see bank failures. No, Jesus, actually, no. I disagree. Think about it. If everyone started doing velocity banking, banks would actually make more money for the banks that are getting all that business. Because a velocity banking practitioner is thinking big. They're now thinking, how do I invest this debt to acquire another mortgage, another property through that bank, maybe, give them my business, get a rate. That mortgage company is getting more interest. They're getting more revenue from you because you're constantly using the line of credit for debt elimination and then asset acquisition, investments, etc., 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 right? So I actually disagree. Banks fail because of mismanaged funds on their part in combination with a ignorant society of people that don't know how to manage their money. They lose their money. So that combination creates for bank failures. And then there's the global economic environment that has impact on a very, very high level. But if everybody started doing velocity banking and paying off their mortgages in 5 to 7 years, more than likely, I think people would acquire another mortgage from that bank and have to pay the closing costs and the fees and the interest, right? And so now the bank got business on that one person of 5 properties as opposed to 1, right? And so they technically will end up getting more revenue, more business, and healthier clients putting more money into that bank, depositing more savings. It creates a very, very healthy relationship overall. So I actually disagree. But if you can, give me some other definitive reasons why you think that is, like not just saying it just to say it, right? But like maybe we can point to some actual numbers or things to look at, right? They said, I guess so. So I'm going to go to Georgia. I'll go to Georgia. And then Money Mind Manifest says, go to South Carolina, Kentucky. Didn't know low rates for nurses. Yes, there are banks that will literally give exclusive offers for like nurses, first responders, firefighters, police officers, military, veterans. Like you can really do that. It's pretty cool. So let's go to Georgia. Chicago. All right. Share my screen. Go a little bit longer, and then I gotta get out of here. Got work to do. More work. This is work, but I gotta do more work. All right. So Chicago. Credit unions in Georgia. Georgia United Credit Union. Borrow. Let's see if they offer personal line of credit. So I don't see personal line of credit, but we can always ask. Denzel, I can't find a rate, less than 9%. Boom. First option. Featured rate, home equity line of credit is low, 7.75%. Ability to lock in a low fixed rate, lower interest rates, interest only payments, okay. Borrow up to 90% LTV, okay. How do you like that? Georgia United Credit Union. Boom. That's one bank. Let's look at another one. Credit Union of Georgia. Loans, personal, true line of credit, variable rate, view rates, as low as 13.74%, not attractive. Get out of there. I would like to stay under 10% with a HELOC in today's environment. Home loan, home equity, line of credit, view rates, 8%, 8.25, 11.5, 15%. So if I do 70% or less LTV, the lowest rate here, 8%. The other bank was at 7.75 for 90% LTV. Who is better? This bank or the other bank? The other bank. So you write that in your notes, right? And you just keep doing research. So now we're trying to beat 7.75%. Can I find a bank in Georgia that offers a home equity line of credit for less than 7.75%? Emory Alliance Credit Union. Let's see what they got. Home equity line of credit. HELOC rates. Look at that. You got to call them. 8.75. Okay, looks pretty high. What they got. Do they do line of credit? Personal loan rates. Protection line of credit. Personal line of credit. I got to put my information in. So I got to call to get the details on that. See? So you would write that bank down, and that would be part of your homework. Okay, so let's go to Peach State Federal Credit Union. Borrow. Like, time me. How long is this taking me? Couple minutes. Boom. HELOC features, adjustable. Hour closing car, low closing, so you can count on say 7.25%. 7.25. 7.75. APR is low as 4%. For what purpose, I don't know. We would have to ask them, how does that work? How do we get that 4? Period of time. So Peach State Federal Credit Union looks like they're competing with the other bank, Georgia State Credit Union or something like that. All right. Cool. Gave you a couple banks. All right. Does it mean that I should apply at this bank? No. I'm just simply giving you the parameters. You still need to call them to see if they're currently offering this thing, and you do the additional research, right? I'm just giving you the framework. So now Money Mind Manifest said South Carolina. Credit unions in South Carolina. South Carolina Federal Credit Union. Let's look it up. Let's look it up. Let's look it up. Borrow. Personal line of credit. 12%. Better than the 13.74, but not that attractive. Home equity line of credit. Low closing costs. No prepayment. Okay. Mortgage rates. Let's see if they show it. Today's rates. I don't think this is referring to HELOCs. So we'd have to call and ask them about their home equity line of credit rates to verify. Carolina Trust Federal Credit Union. So all I'm doing is looking for anything below 8.25% because that's the prime. And I'm looking for below 9. Home equity line of credit. Okay. View rates. Vehicle. Personal loan. Personal line of credit 12.25. They don't show the HELOCs, man. Oh, there it is. 8.5%. So slightly above 8.25, but still less than 9. Right? Denzel, I can't find a home equity line of credit less than 9%. There you go. There's another one. Carolina, South Carolina State Federal Credit Union. And then you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do a search for banks for nurses. Right? I'm gonna do that. Introductory rate 4.5%. Look at that. On a home equity lot, 4.5%. Lock it in, baby. Give it to me now. Right? Like that. I like that. But then let's see. It says, okay, so they're going to pay the closing costs. Okay, that's cool. Variable rate, prime rate. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So it'll go to 8.25 afterwards, after the 4.5. Therefore, the regular rate would be, okay, 9.25. So it'll jump up. All right. So you guys get my point, right? You keep doing this. Look up 5, 10, 20, however many banks I need to look up, and then call them. Right? It does not take a lot of time. So now, here's what I want to do. I want to look up banks for nurses in the United States. Let's see if Federal Credit Union. Menu. Student loans and lines. Student loans. Let's look at mortgages. Home equity. Home equity options. Line of credit. No points, no annual, no third-party fees. Here's who they serve. These are the states that they serve in. That's a home equity loan. Variable rate starting 7.25%. So prime minus 1%. Look at this. Nurses borrow up to 100% of your home equity starting at 8.25%. Right? So there might be some additional benefits when you get on the phone with them. Different things. This is a bank that I just know of. So police and fire, federal. So police officers in the house, firefighters in the house. Check out this bank. Police and fire federal credit union serving Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Let's see where else they serve. It just had it. It just went away. Personal line of credit. Get a discount with automatic payments. I don't see the rate. Home equity. Line of credit. No closing costs. 80% LTV. HELOCs at most banks have variable rates typically based upon prime rate plus a margin. Our rates is based on prime rate minus 0.75%. So it would be 8.25 minus 0.75. So it would be at a 7.5%. Right? That's below 9. Not bad. And again, there might be additional discounts. And then there's a discount for paying auto pay, right? So police officers, firefighters. Let's do one for military banks. Obviously Navy Fed. All right, you got USAA. Penn Fed is pretty good. Credit unions for government workers. Anybody work in the government? Might want to look at Penn Fed. Government Employees Credit Union of Florida provides banking services. So Government Employee Credit Unions of Florida. Anybody in Florida that works for the government? Might want to look up this bank. All right, and see exactly where to go. Government Employees, Federal Employees Credit Union. Let's see what they got. Rates, loan rates. I don't see that. Let's go to loans. Types of accounts. Doesn't look like they have anything attractive here at Federal Employees Credit Union, which is fine. But we just got to do more research. Fed Trust. I don't trust the Fed. But if I go to Fed Trust, we go to loans. Signature loan. Borrow up to 100% of your home equity. Draw period is only 7 years. They don't give too much information. So you'd have to call. But again, I'd be willing to bet that if I'm a government employee, I'm probably gonna get a lower rate at a bank that serves typically government employees than if I go to another bank, a traditional bank, whatever the case may be. Is that good stuff? Y'all like that? All right. Fiance said I gotta go. So I gotta go. Shout out to Kentucky. Shout out to Nelson. Okay, love you. Thank you, Reggie. Okay, I'm not reading the comments. I'm just putting it up here. Ricky Williams. Thank you for putting in the Jesus. Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you, Navy Fed. Okay, Adventure Prime. Thank you for your comments. Thank you. Shout out to Ricky again. Boom. Shout out to Sperez. Shout out to Black. Shout out, shout out, shout out, shout out. Cool. Jesus, I was thinking about a mortgage being a most profitable product, leveraging line of credit. They're probably okay. Blah blah blah. You made a great argument. Okay, cool. But don't abandon your position. Like, maybe you could prove me wrong by looking at some other data that might prove velocity banking to actually not be in the favor at an overall standpoint. I think maybe on a macro level, maybe not. On a micro level today, these banks ain't even paying attention. I found that HELOCs were easy to find low interest rates. It was the PLOCs that had high interest rates. You're correct. PLOCs are like, they're really unattractive right now. Don't know if PLOCs or credit cards are my only option at this point. So you're probably going to have more success with credit cards, and you probably would have a lot of success with maybe a secured PLOC, so you can build it up to have a really, really low rate, use your savings to pay off debt, or maybe play around with 0% credit cards and do things like that until you get to the HELOC position where you have a property. That might be the case again, or in your situation, velocity banking may just not make any sense whatsoever. So shout out to William Lee making the video on velocity banking is a scam. Shout out to Christy Van putting out good content, good material. I analyzed her numbers. Her numbers are successful. You would pay off debt faster if you did what she said. For that client in that situation that has zero cash flow, if you consolidated debt into a credit card and then did velocity banking on the credit card, you would pay off debt. You would get out of debt 3 months faster than what William Lee laid out in 13 months. So there is a difference. We don't do cash advance. William Lee, in that particular video you were analyzing, Christy Van did a convenience check. Big difference on interest costs. You're going to want to fix your numbers there. Again, the offer stands to come to my channel. Maybe I come to yours. We have a dialogue. My audience can have a discussion. We're civil. We don't curse each other out. We don't call each other names. We're very, very civil. God bless you all. Thank you for tuning in. I'll probably do another live stream next week. More videos to come soon. If you want to work with me, coaching one-to-one, the links are below. Check out the resources. Check out the approved guide. Check out Miss Robin. Also, if you want to reach out to me personally, right? You want to send me an email, denzel@builder2contributor.com or denzelrodriguez.com. Go to the contact me form, and you want to get my the Word doc that just kind of goes over all the videos that are videos that velocity banking is a scam, and then all the educators and promoters, advocates of velocity banking, so you can get the full picture of what people are saying. Happy to send that to you completely free. Have a wonderful day. God bless. Love you all. Thank you.